Our guest this episode is a trailblazing sales entrepreneur who spent over 30 years building global teams, launching startups, and driving companies to major exits, including one worth 75 million euros. Now he's turning his attention to the future of marketing and communications through digital avatars. As the founder of a cutting-edge marketing startup and Europe's first golden partner for HeyGen, he's helping real experts scale their presence and share their knowledge in a rapidly changing digital world. Here to discuss the power of digital avatars and what's next for content creators, please welcome to the podcast, Jan Van Schuppen. Welcome, Jan.
Welcome to the Engaging Personalities Podcast. I'm Anders Belanger, founder and CEO of Engagify, where we're on a mission to rehumanize business through engagement. We believe that we can all be more successful if we can command attention and deepen connection. So stick around to the end of the show and we'll reveal how you can be our next guest on a future episode. So let's get ready to engage.
Thank you so much, Anders. I couldn't have said it any better.
Okay, good. All right. Well, we're off to a great start in that sense. So, I mean, digital avatars, like I just got to start there because we just want to dig in because that's the elephant in the room when, in your area of expertise, what does this really look like? Because I think, when everyone starts talking about this, I mean, that valley of the uncanny comes to mind, how weird, how authentic, inauthentic is this going to be? What's this look like? Can you just kind of maybe speak to what are we looking at here when we talk about a digital avatar?
Yeah, it's funny that you ask because I was speaking at a business-to-business event yesterday. I know you have an event background yourself, so I had to address an audience of high-performing business-to-business salespeople. They all wrote into my session specifically, which was named Digital Avatars in Business to Business. I did an introduction, and after 5 minutes, somebody said, "But Jan, but what is it? How does it look like?" So I do realize more and more, like almost every day, that there is a lot of people still that hear AI buzzwords. They like LinkedIn posts that show cool infographics, but they're not really sure what is underneath the hood of all this hype, if you will. So digital avatars, it's literally replacing your video camera. You'll create one time your own digital avatar, and from there on, you never have to appear in front of a camera again, because you can just enter the text that you need to say, and your avatar will say it for you.
So how realistic, Jan, is this digital avatar? Because I think sometimes when we think of an avatar, sometimes we think of, the old kind of mocked up cartoony version of yourself or something like that that we might see on social media. So is this pretty much looking exactly like you?
Well, that of course depends a lot. If you have a target audience that is very young and that is all into Frozen, I would highly recommend you create an avatar of a cartoon out of Frozen. However, I deal in business to business sales only. So when I started using avatars about 3.5 years ago, I did them for customer reports. So a client had an annual contract, and in order to prolong them at the end of the year, I would bring out a report with all the results. And like everybody else in sales, you would spend nights drafting your PowerPoint and then sending it out in a PDF and hoping that the client would actually open the mail. Nowadays, or back then, I added an avatar. So there was a friendly woman in beautiful English. I'm not a native English speaker, so, I'm accent heavy, but there would be this nice lady and she would present the results to the client. So I could only get one decision maker in the meeting. Everybody's busy, but I needed the CFO or the CEO even to look at the same report. And somebody internally was much rather forward the nice video with the lady explaining than ever forwarding a PDF to a CFO. So it already started with small, smart outreach a few years ago.
Interesting. And I mean, I really relate to this content because it's the packaging of the data, if you will, right? That's creating the engagement in this. And for you, instead of, I often will make what I call like executive, briefings
Right.
when but I do it personally, right? And I make slides and I interact with it, and it's, I'm mentioning the person's name, who I sent it to, and all that. It's
Yep.
very one-to-one. But what you're talking about is scalable,
Mm.
is is basically you throw in what you want, the data in written form, and it creates it on command,
Right.
taking no time,
Yeah.
right?
And,
Yeah.
and I think that's a crucial thing. If we just stick to this client report example, because there's many other ways to apply digital avatars, but just this one item, I many years ago already started recording client reports, or even in my sales process. After I did a pitch, instead of sending out a PDF, I would record a small Loom video, again going through the PDF with a voiceover or with my, the little corner video, all to get more engagement for should appeal to you, and to get people more into the results, which was crucial for getting your churn down. But every time, or apart from the actual results, the story around it and always being positive and friendly, all of that is the same. It's very repetitive work. I did thousands of client reports and horrible. But now I only need to do one right, and then all I need to change is the company logo and a few of the percentages, and my next report is ready
Yeah. Yeah.
with a nice lady presenting it.
So that was like 3 years ago, I think you said, Jan,
Exactly.
right? So what are we seeing now as, applications of this digital avatar, and maybe even go out into the future, and what do you see, as
Ah,
use
yeah,
cases?
there's some really cool ones. Well, I work a lot with HeyGen, so it would be obvious for me to say that they just launched their latest avatar technology, Avatar 4, yesterday. Please go check it out. But
Can can
there's
can
more
you
stuff.
speak to HeyGen for a second, Jan? Just for the people
Yeah,
listening who
sure.
don't know what HeyGen is, just maybe define that
Of
for
course.
us, please. Okay.
Yeah, so HeyGen is the market leader worldwide in digital avatars. You can either use one of the almost 1,000 stock avatars, let's call them actors, to do the work for you, or you can record your own video and then use your own avatar for music videos, client presentations, family weekend notices. I wave my nieces and nephews happy birthday through my avatar.
Wow. Okay. So that's, you can go through HeyGen. Someone right now could create their own avatar, and then they would have that. Okay. And then the application of using that technology then, is that kind of what your company works with, or how you're applying that in more into a sales and revenue side of things?
Yeah, so I've been a sales entrepreneur for 30 years. So I've always helped startups finding revenue, and most of it is in the business to business market. So HeyGen has a lot of consumer clients. Fine, they're doing great. But if Ernst and Young wants their CEO in a digital avatar, that's where I come in because I know kind of my way around the larger corporates. And so I do some sales for them. And this is strictly like an agent basis, like you would know from the industry.
Mhm.
And then on the other side, we advise clients, and I have my creative team do that. They help clients getting the most out of the technology, using the best camera angles or lights, and being up to date with tips. And that's more of a service office.
Got you. Okay. All right. Interesting. So, now as content creators are out there, right? Like
Yep.
this is huge for them.
Yep.
What can you speak to that? Like, how is this a game changer? I mean, my mind's kind of reeling thinking about, some of the applications, but I imagine you've already
Yeah.
thought this all out, Jan. So how does that change the game for people creating content?
There's still thin ice, even though I'm an advocate myself and I use it literally daily. I still think that authenticity is crucial. It's very important that you yourself show up once in a while on camera as well, because your audience need to trust you and build trust and have an idea that they know who you are and what you stand for. And if it's 100% your avatar, I'm not sure if you would ever accomplish that. Hmm?
Yeah, well, let's dig into that a
Exactly.
little bit, because that's
Yeah.
huge. I mean,
Yep.
like, trust. I mean, I've seen stats on where events are, on the rise, because trust the in-person trust is
Mhm.
highest, right? And so now we're not even getting like real video of people, we're getting their digital avatar.
Right.
Do you think there's going to be, I don't know, a law of diminishing returns that's going to happen with some of this, the fact that we can pump this out and send this to people at scale? Are we going to just stop listening to that at some point? Like, is there a danger to that?
Well, we're drifting a little bit off topic, but I love the conversation. What I think we're going to see in the future is a race for authenticating social media content.
Mm.
So whenever Elon Musk is on X going crazy and he's posting a video of himself online, there's gonna be a digital certificate to that piece of content that it's actually him.
Yeah. Yeah.
In that case, fans and audience and clients will be looking out for content only certified.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
like a
And then
little
we
blue
eliminate
dot.
some of the deep fake situation slash whatever, all the other, made
It
up
will be
stuff.
there. It will be
Yeah.
there more than we like.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was a little bit tangent, but that's okay. It's good. It's good.
Right. Right.
So let's, I think somewhere I read something about how, experts need to be rising above the algorithm.
Mhm.
Do you want to kind of speak to that and your take on that?
Yeah, that's funny. We have so many discussions with my team. I have somebody looking at AI and automation parts, and on the other part, there's always the branding part. One experiment which we tried, which is still very tricky, but it's maybe fun to share. I have an uncle, the older brother of my father. He has exactly the same name as I do. He's a very well-known mathematic professor, actually built like some of the groundworks that people now building AI on. So he has a huge social presence. But he's not a content creator, not at all. He's never posted a picture of his life, but all universities link to him. He has this
Sure.
huge Wikipedia page. There is so whenever I speak to AI and I ask about myself, the only a Jan AI will talk about is my uncles, not me. So then I started to think, all right, where does this AI get that information?
Yeah.
Because I'm posting my avatars and I get interviews and I'm on LinkedIn, but hmm? So I'm thinking that having your own strong big Wikipedia page is going to be the next arms race almost.
So that's it's kind of like the SEO of AI. A lot of
And
acronyms here. We're throwing around a lot of letters, but
it's the first go-to, yeah.
the credibility is built. And this is interesting because we interviewed Marcus Sheridan, author of Endless Customers, and he believes that, AI is it's the next Google. People are already searching AI for asking for recommendations and this sort of thing. And it's like, how do you become that go-to expert for AI, not just
Right.
Google, right? And that's kind of what you're speaking to as well. So that the credits or the official, your Wikipedia page, but those kind of credits, it's
Right.
not so much social as it is documented, I don't know,
Yep.
credibility in a sense,
And that's actually quite relieving because it pushes people back in just being good at what they do rather than being good at telling other people what they do.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's something kind of nice about that
Mhm.
it's not just whoever yells the loudest, right? It's actually going back to,
Yeah.
deeper expertise, especially in this world that we're in right now where
Mhm.
someone can write a book with AI and slap their name on it, right?
Yeah.
And in the
Totally.
professional speaking world, we see or we hear about that and we go, well, wait until that person ever gets interviewed or has to speak in front of an audience, and then you'll know pretty quickly that they don't know their own content. But so that's interesting. Okay, so let's what do you think the biggest opportunity is for business owners on the B2B side for digital avatars? Like if someone's listening right now and they go, hey, this sounds cool, I want to
Mhm.
dig into this. What would be the first few things they would do or look at doing?
Well, the easiest way into any company is always if it saves or generates money, because I can tell you how good the onboarding will be, and therefore your retention rate will be higher. But that will water down to HR and the CFO, and nobody cares. But if you plug this into a web shop and you have somebody saying, hey, you know what? Thanks for joining the web shop. Let me actually show you this new pair of shoes. And your conversion rate goes up 20%. And by that, you make another 150,000 per year. And the avatar only costs 10% of that. You have an old-fashioned marketing case.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, definitely on the revenue side of things. I have a quick question about that. When you say like kind of an e-commerce idea, web shop is
Yep.
what you're saying,
Mhm.
right? Is that, can this digital avatar, is it real time, can chat just like AI based and it looks good
Yeah.
doing it? Okay.
There's those variations as well. The regular, let's call it the one-dimensional version we discussed in the beginning is just you letting your own avatar or somebody else's avatar speak out the text, and you edit that in whatever video. There is now, for example, HeyGen has in their test mode an interactive avatar. You plug that to whatever knowledge base you want it to talk about. So that could be your own custom GPT about how you want people to engage on trade fairs, and you give them all the knowledge. You have a bunch of knowledge on that aspect. You plug it in there, and then the avatar will be ready to answer any questions and answer with your knowledge.
Right. It's really duplicating yourself to be, your frequently asked questions on your website could be you,
Yeah,
just like answering everything, right? That's kind of fascinating, interesting application of that. Okay. Well, let's go back a little bit. I know that you've,
let me give you one more example, and
yeah,
then
no,
you
go
to
do it
contemplate.
for sure. I like that.
There's a startup I found the other day. It's called Pickle. I think you spell it Get Pickle. And what it does, you record your own avatar shortly or your own video. Then it has that on file. And whenever you have your next meeting, like you and I would have this call now, I would plug in my earphones or do the audio. So you and I would still have this conversation, but you would see my avatar speaking, lip sync, everything right. So I could just be on the sofa or on the beach or in my underwear, but it would always be the nice avatar in your
Oh,
screen, but the audio is real. And in
okay.
your head, you will not understand that this guy is an avatar, even though you see it. But you can actually hear Jan speaking. He's making these weird jokes that AI would never do. And so,
Yeah, and the lips match up to the voice.
yep.
Unreal. So
So,
that really, wow, that makes me think of, I just watched a movie with my son the other day called, what's it called now? It had, now I hate when I do this and I can't think of the right names. The guy who played in Guardians of the Galaxy, the lead guy in that, Pratt, right?
Star-Lord.
Chris Pratt. Chris
Yep.
Pratt was in another movie with
Right.
Millie Bobby Brown, and it was all about these like basically robot avatars. And it was called
Right.
Electric something. I can't think of the title of the. We'll put it in the show notes. Anyways, people are having trouble following what I'm talking about. But the face was like a digital face of this person, but they were, having a nap.
Yes.
Or they were like whatever, and it was basically they were duplicating themselves, and you
Mhm.
didn't have to show up for things that you could send your avatar to. And that's really what this is. It's like, I mean, that one had a robot piece to it, like, an actual physical essence to it. But yeah, that's wild. And I mean, so it's almost like you're that way, if you had the interactive chat
Right.
avatar we talked about that knew what you knew, that's one thing.
Mhm.
But when you're there and you're actually tapping into your mind, but you're just presenting it, it's really how you're coming across in a
Yep.
nice way. You didn't have to, you
Mm.
know, put on your dress shirt for the Zoom call. You can stay, in your,
Yep.
yeah,
I,
that's wild. Okay. So, this is a whole new world we're living in, Jan. Like it's just, I mean, you're there already. You're out there. But what do you think the adoption rate of this is going to be? Like, of course, AI is going mad. Like people are adopting that. Do you see just as quick of an adoption rate of this, or do you think there's going to be I don't know, a little bit of,
Of course, with every technology advancement, there is haters in the beginning and people that will run with it. So that's fine. I do see some very big brands working with it. And somebody that introduced me to avatars actually managed 2,000 Hewlett Packard trainees in Washington, and they were working with Synthesia back then. He said, "Oh, you should check this out. We use avatars." And I'm like, "What is that?" So this was already a multinational using them in corporate communications 4 years ago.
yeah,
Uh, so people say, "Oh, it's coming." No, it's not coming. It's been there for a while. It's just
yeah.
getting better and better.
I'm just finding out about it. So in that way, you think, oh, this is coming. Well, it's here. The other thing, I saw this a while ago when I was thinking about, there was some, basically, like what we were talking about, Loom videos or dub videos or these one-to-one videos that we make. And we're making them special because they're authentic, and they're going to that one person. But because we can do that at scale and with these digital avatars, I was just watching some people's data enrichment of leads,
Right.
right? Using Clay or using these different tools
Mhm.
where you're going out to all these areas, you're filling in these fields, in this database of specifics of each individual that you must, like, it's going to look like you researched them because you did.
Yep.
But the fact that you could send a one-to-one video to them with all of that content curated, mail merged, if you will. Like, it
Right.
stops. We're gonna have to stop using that term because it has nothing to do with mail anymore.
But
But
it's the
yeah,
merge. So
right. Yeah.
theoretically, we could instruct Clay to scrape your social profiles from the last 2 weeks, find out what had the most engagement and was outside. For example, you went to an ice hockey game you just mentioned them, and Clay would see, well, that had, 120 likes, much more than the rest. So then the avatar video would go, "Hey, Hannes, I hope you had a great time at the ice hockey game. Do you know that this week I'll have a special for XYZ?"
Right.
And you go
Yeah.
like, "How did they know I was at the ice hockey game?" "Oh, yeah, you
Right.
put it on Instagram yesterday."
Yeah. Yeah. Now, yeah, that's that level of, like, if I think it's real, like legit, when I say
Right,
real, what's real anymore? That's kind of what we're talking about a little bit, Jan. But like, if I knew it was, you actually went on my socials, saw that, sent that
right.
to me, I have a certain feeling of like, oh, wow, this guy's really doing his thing. But when I know that it's, you
Because of
know,
skills, your privacy is invaded, and
just kind of, then it's all, and that's where I always have problems with this a little bit. And I mean, it's kind of reminds me a little bit of iPhones when we got the facial recognition. You're like, oh, geez, I don't know if I like that. But you're like, oh, this is pretty handy. Like
yeah.
we will probably accept it at some point, but we're all not there yet, I guess.
If you take the really cold outreach sales out of the equation, and let's say it's too fragile for that still. If a celebrity or a business leader, Reid Hoffman, did an interview with himself. I don't know if you saw that. That
I
was
did hear
about
about
a
that.
year
Yeah.
ago. He's fairly invested in 11 Labs that does the audio and the voice cloning behind it. So everybody goes like, "Wow, did you see what Reid Hoffman did?" Why is that? Because we trust Reid Hoffman. We know who he is. And he was upfront about it. He said, "Listen, this is my digital avatar. I'm going to have a conversation." So you knew who was Reed. You knew. So you trust the guy even more. He's upfront about it. But nobody ever said, "I don't want to look at an avatar of," because they're intrigued. The trust was already established. And
Yeah.
then whatever then came afterwards, we just ate it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's an influencer in tech for sure. So we're following him that way. There is transparency in the fact that he said what he's doing, right?
Hmm.
Now I'm wondering, in using your digital avatar, now with AI sales calls,
Yep.
well, in certain places they have to say this is an AI sales call. They have to tell you that. Would you see that as well with the visual, video, digital avatars? Are we having to frame that out and be transparent?
It's very good to do so. We already see it now in measurements. If you are upfront about it, if you write down, hey, look what I made with my avatar, then your engagement will be much higher. I sometimes post, well, let me rephrase. I have never posted my own video on LinkedIn. Every LinkedIn video that you see is my digital avatar. Like I do
Okay.
selfies, fair enough, but there's
Yeah.
also AI photos with some blogs because yeah, I can't be in front of the camera every day, right? It's not my profession.
Right. Okay. Well, there's homework for everyone. Go. Well, speaking of that, let's just talk about that. This is a little earlier than I wanted to do it, but like, what's your LinkedIn, Jan? So,
Well, I hope that people can find it because actually I think I was kind of banned for the last week or so. I
oh,
just published a book and I mailed too many people all enthusiastic that I had a book out.
okay. So,
Um,
assuming you're back.
Assuming you're back, the easiest thing that you can do is go to my personal homepage. It's just janvanschuppen.com, and it will have a link to my LinkedIn or my Instagram or my
Okay.
companies, and you'll take it from there.
Okay. What I was kind of challenging our listeners is go to Jan's LinkedIn and like just look and you'll see the digital avatar. I think that's hilarious that you've never really posted a video yourself. It's always been your digital avatar. Wow. Okay. Well, that is wild, and I'm kind of excited to dig in, but at the same time, I've got this like I've reservations, but we all will until something is new
Mhm.
happening, right? So
Can I
you
give
know,
you another example, Anas?
yeah, I love it.
Let's assume you're part of a business club and there's 50 other entrepreneurs there, and you guys get to hang out and chat every 6 months. You go out, have a beer, and everybody wants to hook up more because it's always so interesting, but you never get around to it. Very simple. There's one person who does all the communication. He puts it into the program, and then every one of you, every 2 weeks, gets a nice video of somebody that you know and trust and say, hey guys, we have this news and we have this news, and why don't we hook up for this? And I want to organize this because the text can be put in always. So all of a sudden, you get much more engagement within a group because it's easier to communicate quality in volume.
Right. Yeah.
So
And
I
and
think it will
because
enhance
it's
people
video, they're
communicating.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So many use cases. And I mean, I think, just like AI, you start going, oh, I can use it for this. I can use it for this. It just, once you dig into it and start playing around, you see all these different applications. Okay. Well, I'm kind of like, my mind's almost a little fried here, Jan, just from chatting
Just
with
take
you
it easy.
and trying to think into the future myself here. I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. I know we're all going to see this a lot more now that, I feel like you're way ahead of the curve. I'm just catching up, but then our listeners this will help catch them up a little bit too. So this is good. Jan, do you anything you want to, final things you want to leave us with?
No, no, I'm good. Thank you so much for the time. Well,
Okay.
like I did mention, I did. Well, the funny thing is, my team said, Jan, you need a social media magnet. You need a lead magnet.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I was like, all right, so what do I do? I can write a little bit. I actually was writing myself. And then they said, well, there's this. And then after a few weeks, we looked at it and was like, it's looking like a book by now. So we ended
Oh.
up with over 120 pages. You can download it for free from my LinkedIn. It has sales tips and AI tools, whatever you want to use. There's a lot about avatars, obviously, in there as well. So just pick it up, and if you like it, enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for gifting that to our listeners. I appreciate that a lot. Thanks for coming on. It was very enlightening and I enjoyed my time here.
All right, likewise, and see you on LinkedIn.
All right. Thanks. And to all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in once again. And until next time, you know what to do. Stay engaged.
Thank you so much for listening to Engaging Personalities. If you believe this world needs more engagement and you're an industry leader or you have an interesting take on rehumanizing business, go to go.engagify.ai/podcast-guest to apply and come on the show. If you got something out of this interview, Do you mind sharing it on your social media? Just grab a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on the socials. If you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show. Include the hashtag Engaging Personalities. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episode, go ahead and subscribe. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more? Go to our website, engageify.ai, or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening and stay engaged.